Toxic masculinity is the boogeyman hiding under every bed and behind every blade of grass. It's just everywhere. We're just drowning in toxic masculinity. That's according to the feminist and globalist and leftist perspective. But our guest today has a very different take. His name is Braeden Sorbo. Sorbo is the actor, author of the new book, Embrace Masculinity, lifting men up in a world that pushes them down. He's only 23 years old. He's already writing books. He's a cultural commentator. He's got over 2 million followers on social media. He tours the country speaking on the dangers of social media, ironically enough, championing traditional values, personal responsibility, and character. He comes from an incredible family. His mother and his father, both very, very successful actors, brilliant Christian family. And his new book is a must-have, whether you're a man or not. Because, folks, one of the reasons our kids are in so much trouble is because we have been, or at least been allowing, the decimation of masculinity. Braeden, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us on the Liberty Report today for Patriot TV. We really appreciate it. And thank you for all that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here to talk about some good things.
Excellent. So talk to us about the book, Embrace Masculinity. I mean, that's really countercultural. It's practically hate speech, but you say, no, we do need to actually embrace masculinity. First of all, what does that mean? And second of all, why is it so important?
Well, what masculinity is inherently is protection, it's provision, it's responsibility. There's nothing more masculine than a man willing to take a woman and his children and take responsibility for them. And what society has done is they've demonized that very feature, calling it overbearing, controlling, oppressive, toxic, manipulative, whatever synonym you want. And what we've noticed is because of this, the trend in the world has been in a downward spiral when it comes to families, when it comes to liberty, when it comes to overall happiness among people. I mean, studies are now showing that women are 2.5 times more likely to be on some form of antidepressant or medical drug as opposed to their equal aged male counterparts. I mean, we are currently in a self-destructive system that destroys men who we know are the very builders of systems. I mean, there's a great quote. It says, when men get together, countries are formed, communities are made, and houses are protected. And so the entire purpose of the book is to bring a godly guide to these young men who are looking for something. They're looking for truth. They want honesty, and they want to know how best to live their lives so that they don't end up like we see on the news and in TV and in these terrible situations. And at the same time, I will also say the book is a checklist for young women when it comes to discernment, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to building up families. This is something that both men and women can use when it comes to life in general.
Yeah, it's so necessary these days for people to hear this message. I'm amazed that we've gone this far on the crazy train without somebody saying, "Stop, you maniacs!" And what comes to mind as we're talking about this, the Frankfurt School, a bunch of Marxists that came out of the Institute for Social Research. A lot of them came over to the United States with help from the Rockefellers and the Deweys and everybody, and they pushed this notion of the authoritarian father, that dads in America were just like these dictators in their home and they're oppressing their wives and their children. And I think actually that played a really important role in destroying not just the family, but civilization at large. I talk about some of the negative effects that this war on masculinity has had.
Well, the negative effects are almost too many to list, so I'll name the biggest ones, and that is the societal downfall and decline in morals that we see today. I mean, we are currently reaping the unfortunate seeds that we have sown back in the 70s with the sexual revolution. We're kind of at the peak of it, where 1 in 10 women today in 2025 are on OnlyFans, and that number is growing. That number is not shrinking. We saw it with the political divide in the 2024 election, where more young women voted liberal and blue than ever before, but we also saw a light of hope. More young men voted red, darker red than they ever have. Now, this is important to note because we have the largest divide when it comes to genders politically that we've ever had. Women have always typically been more blue for their sympathetic and nurturing tendencies, where men, being more conservative, just inherently wanting to take care of those around them, voted red. And so During polling, the 2024 election, the most important issues for young men were the border crisis, the economy, whether that be food, groceries, rent, eggs, things like that, and the overall security of the nation, the prosperity of the nation. Whereas with young women, overwhelmingly 70+% of them said that abortion was the biggest issue. And so what we're seeing is this trend of separation, and it is only being egged on by social media and the world at large. And it started over 100 years ago with the destruction of the family system. I mean, my mom talks a lot about homeschooling. The government realized there was an entire portion of the population, half to be precise, that they weren't able to tax. And so they came forward with this idea of pulling the mothers out of the homes, putting the children into the schools. And so not only did they divide the family, but they took control of the next generation. And that cycle has repeated, and we're witnessing the fruits of it, which are nothing but negative. We live in a society now where back in 1959, a college graduate was almost guaranteed a starting salary of around $10,000 a year, which counted for inflation today would be worth just over 120,000. So roughly a six-figure job in today's numbers. Whereas a college graduate today in 2025, 2024 is not guaranteed, but their starting salary would be $60,000 to $80,000 a year. And keeping up for inflation when it comes to the prices of everything in the market, we are struggling. The very first chapter of the book is called The America Your Parents Knew No Longer Exists. And there's a reason for that. It is because people have killed the American dream. Now, it can be resuscitated. I don't want to just be all doom and gloom and say it's over and we're screwed. We're not screwed yet. And we're seeing that with the young men who are voting overwhelmingly red. But the difference is young men today have a harder battle, a steeper uphill battle than any generation previously. On our phones, and pushed in the media, pushed in music, pushed in the content we consume, is more pornography than kings had access to. And as we all know, porn, lust, is the only sin that we're told not to fight head on, but to run away from. So young men currently have to fight this battle by running from it while simultaneously fighting other battles, without the guarantee that was assured to previous generations, which was if you are a man and you are successful and you take care of yourself, you will find a wife, you will have kids. That guarantee no longer exists because of the sexual revolution. And so these young men have to fight the hardest battle that has ever been fought by a generation of young men without the guarantee of the reward of success, which is, for a man, the pinnacle, a wife and children who love and respect him. And so we, unfortunately, are going to have to dig our heels in and continue fighting without the prospect of a reward, which is a daunting task for a lot of men. And so 18 to 25-year-olds, over 45% of them haven't approached a woman in real life. They're afraid to even attempt to receive the reward that could be promised to them upon good work and good merit. And there's reasons for that, which is why this battle needs to be fought.
Yeah, it's so essential. And as a father with 5 sons, who, by the way, are all going to read this book, this concerns me, I think, more than even your average person. Braeden, we're down to just a few minutes left, and there's so many things I want to ask you, but there's this kind of new, I would call it a fraudulent version of masculinity that seems to be coming in to take the place of real masculinity. And I'm not going to mention any names, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's like beat women and treat them like prostitutes, and that's manly. Go out and find a bunch of women and be promiscuous, and that's somehow supposed to be manly. What does real masculinity look like, and what could America look like if we went back to those real values of true, godly, biblical masculinity?
Well, I'll try to keep it short because I know we're running low on time. But I will say, a society without morals cannot condemn what you just said. A society without morals and masculinity without religion, without Christianity to be specific, is inherently the idea of dominion, right? Without Christ to tell me how to act, without the Bible and the scriptures to guide my life, my innate desire as a man is to have as many children with as many women as possible because that gives my bloodline, my last name, the best chance of survival. And so, unless we return to a moralistic society and have the foundation of our country moral, nobody can condemn what is happening right now, where men are trying to find as many wives as they can, and they're basically treating them the same way that Islam and other Middle Eastern countries treat women because they lack morals. So the first thing we need to do is to return to tradition, return to moral foundation, which I will say, another beam of hope, young men are. This year alone, we have the largest revival of Catholic and Orthodox young men ever. And there's a reason why those young men are returning to those specific denominations as opposed to the big mega church, non-denominational, smoke machines and a rock concert. It's because they want order. They want a foundation, and they have something that dates back 2,000 years. And so we need to return to this idea of a moralistic society before we can even say, oh, well, what's real masculinity? And real masculinity at the heart of Christ is sacrificial. Ephesians 5, verse 25, if I'm not mistaken, says, husbands, love your wives as Christ did the church, sacrificing himself for her. And so if we want men to be Christian, if we want men to be men again, they need to understand that love is a sacrifice and respect is earned, not just expected.
It's powerful, powerful stuff, Braeden. I actually got goosebumps while you were talking. I'm really, really glad that you're out there sounding the alarm about this. The young men need a role model, and you fit that description very well. Sir, what's the best way for people to get a copy of this book?
The best way, people can go to sorbostudios.com. They can pick up a copy. It's in pre-order right now. It will be shipping officially in the next few weeks, just over Easter. I will say it makes us a great graduation gift for nieces, cousins, nephews, sons, granddaughters, grandsons, whatever, graduating school, high school, or college this year. sorbostudios.com.
Absolutely. sorbostudios.com, folks. Go check it out. And I agree with Braeden 100%. And if you've got kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, graduating, this would be a really good present. And it'd be a really good time in their lives to introduce them to some of these ideas that have been so deliberately suppressed, so deliberately wiped out of our minds by the school system, by the media, and the entertainment system. It's just a travesty of epic proportions. Braeden Sorbo, thank you very much for all that you do. Thank you for writing this book, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great one.
Absolutely, you as well. God bless you, sir. All right, folks, stay with us. We're going to be right back on the other side of this break with one of the greatest missionaries of our day, Dr. Peter Hammond, all across Africa, taking the gospel even to the war zones and the terrorist groups and the commies, been imprisoned and tortured and beaten along with his guys. You're not going to want to miss this. He's got a huge update on what's happening right now in Africa, not just as goes with the Great Commission, but also with the growing concerns about the political situation in Southern Africa. We'll be right back after this quick message from our sponsors.
My name is Josh Hewlett. I am Cardio Miracles Director of Communications and International Relations. We are so excited to be offering Patriot TV viewers a 10% off discount by simply heading to your favorite show host fan page. When people try it, brain fog goes away, better energy, they have a faster recovery, better mood, sharper focus, better sleep. Head to your favorite show host fan page and check it out.